Hey up, welcome to the Cannon Old Farm podcast with us, the Nicholson brothers, farmers Rob and Dave.
We're two Yorkshire farmers who, along with our dad Roger, brother Rich and the rest of our family, have turned a farm with 2 sheds and a barn into an award-winning tourist attraction.
You've seen us on the telly, live on Facebook, and now we're here with our brand new podcast.
Across this series, we'll be looking at the key moments that got Cannon Old Farm to the place it is today.
Kicking off with today's episode as we head back to 1989 and reminisce about opening the farm to the public for the very first time.
Coming up, our whole future here depended on whether anyone turned up that Easter weekend.
I remember a guy coming up to the gate and going, "Open farm? I can look at cows and sheep out in field."
Dave, our first ever podcast. Have you done any preparation?
Not a lot, Rob, I've got to be honest. But I have been to one and watched it live.
Right.
Audience, and it was a lot of fun. They brought the audience into the show, lots of questions and answers. I really enjoyed it. And I've listened to, 10 minutes in car.
Right, so you have 10 minutes in car, watch one live.
Yeah.
I've listened to Tony Bellew, right, the former boxer, and
Okay.
I found it really interesting. And what excites me about our opportunity here is to tell our story in more detail. We've done the bits on TV. You don't have long. You can't go deep into a subject and explore it. So hopefully we've got more chance.
Well, as you know, with the TV stuff, we're not in the edit room. They cut loads of stuff out. And when we watch it back, we think, well, why didn't they include that? I mean, what's on that cutting room floor? There's hours and hours worth.
Probably what's on the cutting room floor deserves to be on the cutting room floor.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
So this week, obviously lambing's finished now. What have you been up to? What are you working towards?
Well, we did a little bit of filming for the Yorkshire Vet. We had Shauna down and we castrated, with regret, 2 little miniature donkeys. They weren't getting on. One was bullying the other one. And donkeys, they pair up. They more or less pair up for life. We've got lots of miniature donkeys and they always go around in 2s.
Like Noah's animals.
Yeah, but we've got no ark.
Yeah.
I suppose the farms are.
But we've had plenty of rain.
So this job needed to be done. Shauna came down and it was very interesting. I've never seen that operation before. I've got to say, it gets you a little bit.
I think something like a castration is something, it's a big deal and it's not to be undertaken lightly, and it's obviously got to be for the best of reasons. But that crunch, when those nutcrackers go, it certainly sent a chill down my spine. But the beautiful thing about it is Bobby and Lightning are now firm friends. They can live together forever.
Yeah.
And it was a complete success.
Yeah. I mean, we do have to keep watching them, but it went well. She's one of the best vets I know. Every time we call her in, she does a fantastic job. She is a 10 out of 10 vet.
So that'll be on the Yorkshire Vet sometime in the next few months. My highlight of the week has been mating some short-horn cows with our new bull, Sultan. It's not a seamlessly straightforward job because Sultan's going to the Yorkshire Show. We need to manage his workload. He's like a Premier League footballer. Too many matings will drag him down. He'll lose the spring in his step. He'll have less chance of a red rosette at the Yorkshire Show.
Really?
So I've started him off, right, with 3 nice cows. He's
Right.
mated them all. It's taken its toll on him because they're his first ones. So he will have a few strains and aching joints. But I'm glad to say he rose to the occasion. He got the job done. And we should be looking forward to some calves in 9 months' time.
Will he be going in again in a month's time just to make sure
I've got
the ring
confidence in my boy.
You have?
Right, yeah. The reason that we did supervised matings instead of just turning him loose into the field is because we want to keep him calm. We want to keep him friendly and we need to manage his workload. If you just turn him in with 20 cows, he's going to run round the field, he's going to think he can mate the lot in a day, and he's going to tire himself out, even to the point where he might suffer a heart attack.
Something's just sprung into my head. Do you remember when we went up to Scotland and got Aussie Horseborn and we brought him back for the little fillies, the little Shetland ponies? He actually did run round the paddock and mate every one.
Well, a sensible bull will think, I've got a field full of cows.
Yeah.
I'm going to mate a couple, have a rest, and I'll catch up with the rest later. A young bull tends to think that they're all mine. I need to go at it like a bull in a china shop, and then he ends up injuring himself. So we've managed his workload. He's mated 3 cows, and we've got calves to look forward to.
And I suppose if he's out in the field, he'll run that weight off, won't he? We want him to be show ready. He wants to be fit. He wants to be like a prize fighter. He wants to go into that ring, looking his best.
There's show condition and there's working condition. And that's why too many cows for him while he's in show condition could be a problem. So we've started him off with 3. We'll give him a week off, and then there'll be another 3 for him. And we'll just keep chipping away at him like that. And they're going to calve through March and April next year, and should coincide with springtime and Easter time.
And Murphy's doing the same job with the Highlands.
Yep.
Now, really, we've got 2 Highland bulls. We've got Ted. He's still up in Scotland at the moment. He will be coming home later on in the year when he's done his job. But I bet you, because he's outside on that mountain with, about a dozen heifers, he's going to come back a different bull. He's going to come back a lot lighter.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because Lisette, who was looking after him, sent me a video 2 days ago of Ted venturing out onto Ben Nevis to meet 12 cows.
Yeah.
Right? And you're right, the condition of Ted is less than when we took him, because he's work fit. He's been walking up and down that mountain. He's been honing his muscles, and 2 days ago was the day for him to get amongst the girls and again hopefully produce calves for next year.
Yeah, what'd be quite nice is actually, having a look at those calves next year and just seeing how good a quality they are, because one of his calves got best yearling at Auburn at Show and Sale. He is an extremely well-bred bull. He's thrown some cracking calves, and I bet he does a fantastic job for her.
Ted is no tea cake, right? He's won the Yorkshire Show. He's won at Penistone. He's a great bull. He draws admiring glances up and down the land. So to take him up to Ben Nevis and to set him free on that mountain with those girls, it felt like us giving him a lovely holiday for all the good stuff he's done for us.
He is a quality bull, and he's a nice bull as well. He's calm. You can go in the field with him and you're not going to be too worried.
Oh, he's a joy. He's lovely to deal with. And it just felt a nice thing to do for him. But the great thing is he's coming home, right? He belongs at Cannon Hall Farm. But if he can have a holiday every year in Scotland, and we can have a wonderful trip up to the Highlands to drop him off and collect him, catch up with Lisette, who is obviously a Dutch girl who married a Scotsman who now has a hybrid accent, half Dutch, half Scottish, but she's got a wonderful heart and she's a lovely person.
What I like about her as well is she's a businesswoman. She's already doing Meet Ted, Meet the Highlands. She's gone that extra mile like a lot of farmers have to do. We had to, back in the beginning, open our farm to the public to earn, a living wage.
Oh.
And, she's doing the same thing. She's thinking outside the box, and she's getting an extra bit of living for herself, which, it's a credit to her.
Speaking of which, we're here to talk about opening the farm to the public for the very first time. Should we go back to 1989?
Let's go.
(24th of March, 1989). What springs to mind?
Was it Good Friday?
Yes.
Barnsley was a great night out. Japanese Whispers was the club to go to. Our 3-stone lighter, black hair. It was a hell of a time.
Well, to me, right, it was the first day that we opened the farm to the public. After 3 years, right, of solid endeavour in terms of transforming a crumbling, decaying farm into something that was fit to invite families, local families, onto the farm. We'd built it, but would they come?
Rob, we were only 50p and 75p to come in. It wasn't going to break the bank.
But you could get a pint of beer for 50p then?
No, you couldn't. It was £1 a pint. It was definitely £1 a pint. No, seriously, I think, did we have about 40 people round?
We took 25 quid that first day, right? Which I remember thinking, well, it's all right, it's handy, but it's not really a game changer. But the next day, the Saturday, we took 120 quid.
Which was a game changer.
Yeah.
You know, we were a family that weren't used to having, well, money really. You know, times were extremely hard. We'd borrowed heavily from the bank to tidy the farm up, to get it ready to open the doors to the public. And I'd say we're about, if people came for a couple of hours, that was maximum, wasn't it? It was a small little farm. We concentrated on lots of little baby animals. We had a nice variety of animals. So we had Angora goats with kids, Shire horses. Did you have some Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs we had?
Yeah, what strikes me, what I remember most, was the fact that we borrowed the Angora goats.
Yeah.
We borrowed a Shire horse off our cousin.
Yeah.
We did everything. We bought a couple of cheap Shetland ponies from a guy in Doncaster. We just did what we could to get a display of animals that doesn't really mirror what we've got now. We got Victor the Llama, didn't we?
Yeah.
He cost about 70 quid from Roland up at Thirsk. We went round, we found what we could, we found a way, and we entertained families. You know, we had guinea pigs, baby rabbits, all the things that Dad knew how to keep from his childhood, he transferred to us, and we made the place interesting.
Well, what I really liked is, as you first walked in, we had an indoor pond. And I know, like Edward from the village, he helped us with all the filters and got us some fish and got us going with that. Then there was a mouse town. There was a cage with some rats in. We used to go out with a rat on our shoulders with all the school trips. It was a lot of fun.
Why could we never get a girlfriend?
You were already married. You didn't want one. No, but it was fun. We had a Highland cow. We bought stock that wasn't the best stock, but it did the job. We bought a pygmy goat and he had triplets.
It was the best we could afford at the time, wasn't it? And you catapult ourselves forward 35 years, and we've got stuff that's winning at the Great Yorkshire Show. We've taken stuff to the Royal Highland Show. I sort of feel as though we've got to pinch ourselves when we look round the farm as it is now and compare it to when we first started. It was literally chalk and cheese.
What we did, we reinvested. Anything we made that year went straight back into the farm to make it better. We wanted the best display of animals, the best buildings we could afford, and we wanted that dwell time. We had a little gift shop, which is, it's actually my bedroom now. You know, we had a small cafe. We did the best we could with what we had.
The thing that I remember most was, obviously the week before it, I got married. I got married on the 18th. I had a 2-day honeymoon in Newcastle, right? Which, it's not really sunny, it's not really glamorous, but we had a wonderful time. We were straight back at it. We were working in the business the following week and opened the doors to the public on the Friday. So it just felt like all the hopes and dreams and aspirations that I had for myself and for the wider family all hinged on that day. You know, would people come? Would we have a viable business? You know, 2 years before that, we'd had the bank knocking on the door saying, your time's up, you've never made a living, Mr. Nicholson. You know, you need to sell up while you've got some equity left in the business. And literally, that was our chance to prove that bank wrong, and the Yorkshire Bank, who believed in our dream, in our vision, right. And I thank God to this day that those people did come, and we've been given the chance to live the life that we've lived.
Yeah, and it's been quite a roller coaster, hasn't it? There's been all sorts of setbacks and successes through the years. I suppose, you know, we got it right. We had little piglets being born, didn't we? We had an incubator. We hatched eggs every week, you know, and that was so popular.
Things that weren't that easy to do, you know, but we did have enough expertise. Dad knew how to hatch eggs, he knew how to keep pigs. He'd done all these things as a lad himself, hadn't he?
Yeah.
And we knew that if you could get baby animals being born in front of people, they were hooked.
Yeah.
And they'd come back. And we didn't charge a fortune, and we built up a really strong, loyal, local clientele, you know, customer base.
And it was word of mouth, wasn't it? We didn't pay for advertising. It wasn't like you could get your phone out and go on, you know, social media and do some stories. Literally, you know, the Barnsley Chronicle kept on running stories. Yeah. We had to make things up. You know, we had Chat magazine come, and we named our animals after Coronation Street characters. So any bit of advertising we could, you know, we did.
There were simpler times, weren't they? Yeah. You know, I just think that we built our business on word of mouth, on doing things right, on giving people family days that would stay with them hopefully forever. And it's nice now to see the second generation bringing their children back, and even people who came as children now coming back as grandparents.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how quickly the world turns, and obviously we're a lot older ourselves now, but you know, I still have aspirations and hopes and optimism for the future. You know, I still got things that we'd like to do here and achieve and accomplish.
We still like to build things and you know, make the day a better day for everybody. Now, one of the things that went in our favour, just thinking about it, is we were right next to Cannon Hall Museum. We were next to a country park. So we had people on our doorstep. We didn't have a car park where people could drive and park up and come to the farm. We relied on the council car park and their visitors. Without that, we wouldn't have survived. You know, without having our neighbours next to us.
No,
you know,
when I think back about that week, about that first year, it makes me quite emotional in the sense that could have been nipped in the bud. Our hopes for the future, all that we've managed to enjoy along the way, could have been lost if we'd have backed the wrong horse that week. You know, we were relying on the fact that Chatsworth, Pennywell, Cotswold Farm Park, there are other places, not many of them,
White
but
Post.
there were other places in the country had made a success of that kind of thing, and it just needed that to happen for us, and thankfully it did, and that's why we're sat here now, you know, enjoying what we're doing and having lived a great life at Cannon Hall Farm. You
know, the future is still going to be interesting. You know, we've got plans for some great new buildings. We just need to get the planning permissions. In the past, we've had battles with the planners over certain things like the car park. That had to go to appeal to London. We had to prove that we needed it for the business and, you know, for the visitors. So we built quite a good case up. And there was only, I think, 2% of those planning applications that went to London got passed. And we were one of those 2%. And without that, we wouldn't really be in the same situation. I think everybody needs a bit of luck.
Dave, the layout of the farm has changed dramatically. You know, the farm entrance is now a bakery.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
The cattle barn and sheep barn is now an indoor play centre. The pigsty is now birthday party rooms.
And a reptile house.
Yeah.
Oh, and what is now my dad's garden, that was the little yard where the Shetland ponies were.
Yeah, yeah.
So nothing really exists what we had in the beginning.
No, we built it all once for 1989, and then gradually over the following 35 years, we took it down and rebuilt it again in some other form.
Well, we're sat here above the mammal house, Rob. I can hear the lambs calling. We've got shires in the roundhouse as well. None of this was here in 1989. You know, we've come a long way.
You walked into what was the farm entrance and then through to the fish pond, to the mouse town, to the rat town. We went outside. We had some aviaries. We had chipmunks.
Yeah.
We had zebra finches. We then went up to what used to be the old Crendon building where the sheep and cattle lived, which is now an indoor play centre. You went round that corner to where the reptile house is now. That was our dry sow accommodation. The birthday party rooms used to be the farrowing house.
Yeah.
We then went outside and we've built 7 new farm buildings, right? 3 pigsties, 3 rare breeds barns, and then an older pig building. So there really is no resemblance to what there was then.
The mammal house, the roundhouse, the squirrel enclosure, all the playgrounds, Rob. We kind of went into it a little bit at a time because we didn't have the money to invest. We didn't want to borrow any more money. Well, we couldn't. We borrowed as much as we could. But if you think about it, Rob, you know, from the farrowing house, right, what is now the farm shop upstairs, the gin section, that was the goat building. And from there, we went down into my dad's garden, which at the moment, and that was a little courtyard. We had pot-bellied pigs, Shetland ponies. We had an incubator room.
Victor the llama.
Yeah, Victor the llama. And the incubator room was really popular. And then we had 2 toilets just in the corner.
Yeah. 2 toilets.
You know, that were it.
And we thought that were plenty, didn't we?
Well.
How many pans have we got on site now?
A lot.
More than 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've gone from 2 toilets to 50 toilets.
Well, it's just back then we had a little Clargester tank, Now we've got 3 lorry loads of treatment tanks, right? Enough for a small village. So I bet we've invested, nearly £2 million just in sewage treatment. For this site to run as it does.
I think the fact that our evolution as a farm and a tourist attraction has taken 35 years has meant that we've been able to achieve, it's pretty much a lifetime's work.
Yeah.
We've nearly had a working lifetime. I still hope to have, some more years left in me yet, but to look back on where we started, literally to make ends meet, we had to develop a siege mentality. When we were at school, we knew that every pound we spent was a pound further away from being able to stay at Cannon Hall Farm. We knew that we were losing money every year and that we had an obligation to fight to try and stay here, to make sure that Dad's efforts and Mum's efforts weren't in vain.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really made us money was the cafe, which is now my house. My mum used to bake scones several times a day for the cafe. Rosemary used to do the meringues. It was just a lovely little tea room, and then plans changed. We built a bigger cafe for the extra customers, and we just evolved, and each year we keep evolving.
We'd spent probably the best part of 5 years preparing for that day when we opened those gates to the public. We'd no idea who was coming. There was no online booking. There was no notion of whether we'd done enough marketing. All we'd done was tell people that it was going to happen. We'd managed to get an odd article in a newspaper or two, but nothing very much. And really, our whole future here depended on whether anyone turned up that Easter weekend.
I remember a guy coming up to the gate and going, "Open farm? I can look at cows and sheep out in field," and then walking off. And it didn't make you feel good, did it? There was a little bit of negativity, but there was enough positivity for it to work.
I think, though, at that time, people didn't go to tourist attractions as often. People didn't have disposable income to necessarily do all those things. We were right at the cutting edge of people having regular family days out. And it's a good job we were, and it's a good job that the world evolved just enough to give us a toehold in there. And then since then, 35 years later, we've managed to build year on year to a point now where we've got a brand new farmyard, we've got a reptile house, we've got a mammal house, we've got loads of playgrounds. We've got enough here now to give people, a full family day out.
It were exciting times, wasn't it? Because you'd have an idea of, put a little bit of play equipment in, but play equipment is so expensive, and we'd build a whole kind of little play village. Now we're thinking, well, that's going to last a long time. That's going to outlive me, right? But they don't. You have to reinvest. You have to keep everything looking, new, exciting. And I remember every time we do something new, you got a little boost of extra people coming. That word of mouth really helped. And now with social media, they'll put it online for you. Everyone is a walking advert. So you have to do your best to keep everybody happy.
So 1989, you weren't long out of school. How did you compare to the man you are today?
There is no comparison.
I can agree with that.
3 stone lighter, dark hair, 19 years old. I was just finishing my course at Bishop Burton College, where I've met some fantastic people. I'm still friends with them now. I had a great time. Went off on an harvest job with my mate Gibbo, driving big tractors for 10 weeks.
Just break me up when you finish with that, will you? Because it bores me to tears.
Look, some people, right, they go off all over the world. They go to New Zealand on their harvest.
And you went to Scunthorpe, we know.
The Far East.
Yeah.
It was Cleethorpes, not Scunthorpe.
All right, sorry. I obviously wasn't paying attention.
Exactly.
Right, I'm thinking back now, David. You left school, right, and you were a shy youth, weren't you? If a girl so much as said hello to you, you went bright red and just looked down like that. Right? What changed? What changed you from that awkward youth into this magnificent specimen that I see before me?
Well, I would say going out, getting a bit of confidence, meeting some good friends, I think probably beer.
Yeah. But, right, so you went away to to college.
Yeah.
Right. You then went away and did a harvest job.
10 weeks. Have I told you about that?
Right, you did. But we both had to have part-time jobs, didn't we, to make ends meet, to keep a girlfriend, really. Because, you've got to have a little bit of spending money, haven't you, to be able to develop a relationship.
And we only earned £50 a week at the farm.
Yeah.
That's all the farm could afford to pay us.
Yeah.
Right. So you went damp proofing.
Yeah.
Right. I had my harvest job for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
I came back home from my harvest job with about £2,400 in the bank account.
Did I take that off you?
No, you didn't.
I seem to think that I borrowed the money for Julie's engagement ring off you.
You could have done.
I think I did.
Well, that's more than,
Yeah.
I would say that's more than possible.
And that's the way we lived at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was literally, I want to get engaged. I need some money. Oh, I'll borrow it off Dave.
I was always a saver.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
I've always been a saver.
Yeah.
When I spend it, I spend it. But I like to have a little bit back.
I know that you had some money. I needed a ring, right? So
Yeah.
I borrowed it off you. Paid you back,
Yeah.
right? And obviously, but that's the way we carried on then. And literally, we were hand to mouth. I had a part-time job. You had a harvest job. We could not have sustained any kind of lifestyle on £50 a week. But then we came back to the farm here. We were mixing cement. We were mixing concrete. We were working alongside a local builder to get the yard concreted. We needed to spread limestone out to make the paths acceptable.
Cousin Alwyn.
Yeah.
Dug all the drainage system in, all the sewage system. We had friends and family helping us out, and without that, we wouldn't be here,
It was
would we?
chaotic.
Yeah.
It was sporadic. Everything didn't necessarily run conventionally, but we got there, didn't we? We got married. We managed to make a success of this place, enough to convert some of the outbuildings into houses where we could live on site and tend to the animals. Over the years, we've developed a better collection of animals. We've invested in the infrastructure of the site with many more buildings now than we had then. So somehow, and I'm not even sure how myself, we've sort of got there.
We have. I mean, 1989. What a time, right? It was just so much fun. It was the hottest summer on record.
Was it?
Yeah. Sydney Youngblood was number one. Right, I remember that because I was in the tractor for the hottest summer. Right, it was roasting in Cleethorpes, and did I have a tan? Didn't even have a farmer's tan. Sat in my air-conditioned cab, wasn't I? It was good. And when the weather turned a little bit, we went to the pub. We enjoyed ourselves, but that's what it's all about, isn't it? Work hard, play hard, have a good time.
The beauty of podcasting is, during a little toilet break for you, I've been given some fun facts about 1989.
Why do you have to say toilet break? Why do you have to tell everybody?
That's what David, it's a perfectly natural thing to do.
Okay, go on.
Right, another change from 1989 is, I need glasses. Right, on Good Friday, 1989, Jason Donovan, Too Many Broke Nights, was number one in the UK charts. Was that a favourite of yours?
I liked it. He broke a few hearts, didn't he?
Yeah. Right, in 1989, Batman,
Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally and Back to the Future Part 2 were released at the cinema. Favourite films?
Never saw it at the cinema, I'll be honest with you.
The Fall of the Berlin Wall, is that something you ever visited?
Not yet, no. But there is still time.
No, it's too late, Dave, it's gone.
There are bits of it left to have a look at.
Right.
There must be.
The World Wide Web was invented. I mean, we're talking a long time ago here, aren't we?
Yeah.
The Simpsons and Baywatch aired on TV for the first time in the United States. Come on.
Now, Baywatch, one of my favourites.
And I know why, you little rascal. The Game Boy was released, and a Motorola released one of the first mobile phones that cost $3,000.
My mate's dad had one, and it was like a suitcase.
Was it?
And he'd get it out. He could never get signal. Complete waste of money.
Absolute waste of time, but at least he had one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, on Good Friday, Barnsley FC were 12th in the old second division, which is now the Championship.
So that meant I was left at home working. You, Rich, and Dad went off to football.
Exactly, and that's how it should have been.
That's how it was. Yeah. There's no two ways about it.
Right, and one for you here, Dave. In 1989, Iceland lifted their beer ban, so now the country has a national beer day on every March the 1st. Have you ever visited Iceland?
I'll be going on March the 1st, that's for sure. No, seriously, that'll be a right party.
Speaking of Jason Donovan, can you remember the time he came to that pub in Barnsley?
I'm not joking, Rob. Barnsley's had all the A-list celebrities from all over the world. Right, Jason Donovan, I can't remember the name of the pub, but I was there, I saw him. Sunita, right, she's not A-list, but she's nearly there.
She's a strong B.
Yeah, strong B. She sang in Japanese Whispers. Reg Olsworth from Coronation Street.
Oh, now you're talking.
There was a competition in Japanese Whispers, right? Yeah. And you had to dress up like Reg Olsworth.
Right? Big glasses.
And you won a Nintendo, console, right? And I thought, I'm going to have this.
Well, I reckon Jason Donovan, right, fell on hard times. We're turning up in Barnsley for probably 200 quid.
Rob, we've had Mike Tyson in Barnsley.
Yeah.
We've had Julio. Is it Julio?
Iglesias.
Hey? Coolio.
Yeah.
Right, we've had big stars.
Big stars.
Well, for Barnsley.
Right, Dave, after all that, I think we need to head back to 2024, to the present day. Thanks for listening to the first ever episode of the Cannon Hall Farm podcast.
We'll be back next time to talk about another important moment in our family farm history.
And don't forget, you can read more about our story by purchasing one of our books, Living Our Best Lives or Springtime at Cannon Hall Farm. They're available from the farm shop or online at www.cannonhallfarm.co.uk. That's my shameless plug.
And mine is, don't forget to follow us on your podcast provider and don't forget to leave us a review.
We'll be back with episode 2 of our podcast very soon. But for now, I'm Farmer Rob.
I'm Farmer Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Do you ever pay me back that money for that engagement ring?
You don't need to worry about that. Right? I've paid you back in many ways since.
I don't think you did.